Happy New Year, everybody. The Sharks beat the worst team in the NHL after giving up 2 goals but scoring 5 straight. If that's the key to a Happy New Year, here we are. Hey, boys and girls, how you guys doing on this beautiful New Year's Day? Oh, you gotta love it. It's an After Dark takeover. God damn. Only one more of these. One more, jerk. Are you jacked? Are you juiced? Are you pumped?
I am, thrilled. I am pleased. I am tickled at the fact that there's only one more of these. And what's even sweeter
is this another early start?
I was going to say sort of the old sugar on the pancake, if you will, is another 4 p.m. Pacific start for that one on January 22nd. So,
can I get a yeah?
Well, last year it was like, I think every Sunday of whatever month it was, February or January it might have been, or March. It was a takeover, and it was
7 o'clock games.
Yeah, it was nonsense last year. So I'm very
that was some
very
bullshit.
happy that we got a good draw, this time around. I mean, the only crappy one was the one from 2 weeks ago.
Yeah.
So
well, here's my response to it.
Oh, there it is.
Yeah. Crack them if you got them, people.
No free ads.
Welcome back to the unfiltered, unedited, uncensored, commercial-free Sharks podcast that is the Pucknologist here on Teal Town, USA. We got 4 games to wrap for you. But first, you know it, you love it. If you're new to the podcast, subscribe using that subscription button there on the YouTube channel. If you want, we have social media. We're not charging you to be a fan for us. But you can keep us commercial-free by using the Super Chat option if you'd like during the live shows, or better yet, Venmo. You can find us at Teal Town, USA if you want to throw something in the tip jar. But again, we're not charging you. We're not forcing you to be a fan. If you're not... Oh, go ahead.
So what you're saying is that there will be no tithe necessary to be a part of this club, if you will?
There you go. If you're not with us live, you can add your takes to the YouTube comments section. And if you're listening on your favorite podcast app, make sure to subscribe there. Leave a review if possible, especially on Apple. That goes a long way and really helps us out. So we appreciate that when you do that. Oh, let's go. The weekly wrap, if you will. Sharks played 4 games this week. They pick up 3 of 8 points, going 1-1 against the Canucks, Flyers, Stars, and Blackhawks. Through 39 games this season, they are 12-20-7 with 31 points. Currently 7th in the division. I want to say 29th in the league by points percentage. But I was kind of busy during this game. I was tracking some things. But for this week, what had happened was some blown leads, some horrific special teams, and Dan Quinn is pissed, or at least he says so during one of the post games. But the way it works here, as you know, for the returning people, when we take over, we cover the game you just saw. So it's a 5-2 victory for the San Jose Sharks. Kakinen comes back in net. Chicago lost in Columbus yesterday. The Sharks lost in Dallas yesterday. Chicago 1 win in their last 12 games. Oh, I guess now that would be 13.
That's so bad.
Dude. Both playing their 3rd game in 4 nights. Mrazek comes into this 5-0. 5-0 versus San Jose, even after nearly getting killed by Joe Thornton. And now it's 5-1. So let me start here. Cicek is recalled before the game. We all saw Šimik get bounced in that game versus Dallas when we had that reverse hit versus Marchment. Mm-hmm. If Cicek is getting called up, especially with this back-to-back, is this like a purely paper transaction, or do you think that's a signal for Šimik maybe being out for longer than expected, especially when you got like the next 4 days off?
I think it could be both because obviously, they knew pretty early on that Shimmick wasn't going to be an option for tonight's game, and so it's nice to have Cicek already in the lineup, or I'm sorry, not the lineup, already called up to the NHL roster, just because we've seen it so many times before. Somebody takes a puck off the head in warmups, they take a spill into the boards, and oh crap, all of a sudden they can't play. You know what I mean? So it's good to sort of have that option there just in case. But again, considering like you said, the Sharks don't play again until Friday. So if anything, that was probably calling up Cicek was probably just a just in case kind of situation, and then he'll go back down until Thursday or Friday if he is still needed.
Yeah. And I don't have the Barracuda schedule in front of me, but I'm assuming they play some between now and next Friday. So who knows? We'll see what happens. I wouldn't mind seeing Merkley get like a call up, but then again, it's like, what's really the only reason why worth calling Merkley up for is if he's actually going to play. I don't know that Cicek will.
Right. And the Barracuda, they do play on Wednesday against the Silver Knights, but I'm kind of with you. I would like to see Ryan Merkley called up just because regardless of the team or the player or anything like that, it's always, if you're rooting for somebody, it always kind of sucks to see them be a fixture in the NHL one year and then the next year they go back down. You know what I mean? Because it kind of feels like backwards progress, if that makes sense. But I kind of have the mindset, and I'm sure you do as well. You play Merkley in the NHL. I mean, it's not like things can get any worse.
You don't think, huh?
I mean, they're 29th in the NHL. I mean, yeah, they could fall to 32nd, and that would technically be worse. But
I'm rooting for that.
But they're in sort of that cluster of really shitty teams. So it doesn't really matter what they do.
Yeah. So tonight's game versus the Blackhawks, kind of a bland first period. I mean, what did it do? The end of the period, it was what, like 10-1 shots on goal?
Yeah, or the Sharks dominated early on.
Yeah, but not a lot of quality looks, and they weren't looking for that back door that seemed to have been working for them an awful lot at the beginning of this week.
Right.
So I was kind of like, what are you doing?
Well, they kind of found that a little bit. I mean, on the Vlasic goal was a little bit of a backdoor play, and then
but I'm talking the first period.
Sure, but to your point, it kind of seems like they eventually figured it out.
Yeah. The funny thing, of course, for tonight, some interesting firsts, I guess, maybe for me. I've never seen a goalie break his stick in that fashion that Kakinen did in the second period.
I don't know. I can't say that I've ever seen a goalie stick break naturally.
Yeah, that was quite odd.
I've seen a goalie smash it like over the post.
Hello, Pecorine.
But, very, very rarely, I think, do you ever see it break naturally. And obviously, goalie stick a bit thicker than the regular player stick. But I don't know. Did you feel like on that goal at Kane, did you feel like maybe one of the Sharks defensemen should have given up their stick to Kakinen? Jesus.
I mean, yeah, probably. But I mean, dude, Kane came in hot. I mean, Kakinen was screwed in that one.
Right.
But to what you're saying, somebody should have handed it off. Or at the very least, Kappa should have been just like, hey, Twig, dude, hand it over. I don't know. But anyway, it's a 1-0 lead at that point, and the Sharks had one shot on goal through the first 7 minutes of the second period. In fact, our buddy Pashelka tweeted up, the Sharks had 10 shots on goal in the first 7 minutes of the game and then had 5 shots over the next 20. And so at that point, I'm going, well, you can't score if you don't shoot. At least that's what I've heard. Many people are saying.
Right.
Then Lafferty buries the backdoor pass while Harrington goes starfish. And it's 2-0. And at that point, I'm like, all right, so it's going to be one of those.
Yeah, again, to your point, it seemed like the first period was very low energy, and then you get to the second period, and it seemed like the same sort of, I don't even know what you want to call it, just poor choices, right? I mean, again, we talked about like I think obviously the way that Kakinen was positioned on that Kane goal, you'd think having a stick in his hand would help, but also there's a situational awareness there, but also to your point on the Lafferty goal, the Starfish, anytime the Starfish has ever worked, it's been by chance. That is not a skill play, right? So like so I just don't know.
Say.
I don't know why that's a well that players on this team keep going back to. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Whatever. It's
it's a choice for sure.
At some point, that'll be coached out. Once Brent Burns becomes the defensive coach for the Sharks, that'll be coached out, right?
I mean, you thought with Bob Bugner getting released, you thought it would be coached out.
Oh, yikes. So, I mean, they're up 10-0 on the shot counter, and then with 6 left in the second, all of a sudden it's 15-15, and you're like, okay, here comes Chicago. But bizarrely enough, everybody crashes the net. We're not sure if it's Hertl. We're not sure if it's Gadjevich, but ends up being Gadjevich. He gets one back, and you're like going, okay, so the Sharks are going to make it interesting, but who knows? But then 40 seconds later, Vlasic ties it with one off the boot. First goal of the year, and all of a sudden it's a tie game, and you're going, if you're a Bedard fan, you're going, God damn it.
You know what I thought was funny in watching that? So when the goal for Gadjevich went in, I again, because of just how goofy the whole play was, I was very much thinking like, okay, this is going to be a situation where like, oh, you get a dirty one and you think, yeah, okay, we're right there, and then Chicago's going to score immediately after, and the same lead is going to be restored, right? And maybe this season has turned me into like a pessimist, but like I'm honestly very surprised at the second period the Sharks had. I mean, forget taking the lead. I mean, just to tie it up, right?
Oh, you right.
And like you said, that Vlasic goal was that backdoor play that you were kind of looking for.
Exactly. It was like, oh, they remembered it. And we have some couple quotes coming in now. Vlasic on what he's going to do with his goal puck from his 1200th game. The funny thing, of course, being if you watch the broadcast, he grabbed that puck and he was holding on to it the whole time that they were reviewing.
Right. Yeah, I loved seeing that. As soon as they get a good goal, tossed it right to the trainer.
Yeah, he's like, tape it, put it in my bag. But Vlasic says, I'll probably play street hockey with my dogs with it, or they'll steal it, put a hole in it, whatever. Dude, I love it. You did so much to make sure you held on to it for that long, and that's what you're going to do with it? Like you don't have a bajillion other pucks to do that with? But okay, hey, do you.
Well, I feel like that's such like...
Fucking frame it after it's all slobbered and chewed up.
I feel like that's kind of a veteran move too. You know what I mean?
Oh, dude, absolutely.
Like just, like as soon as the goal went in, like I think they had said on the broadcast, oh, Vlasic knew right away, blah, blah, that it, when they were calling it a no goal, oh, Vlasic knew right away, all this kind of stuff. And I'm thinking about it. I'm like, no, I think it's the opposite. I think it's more like, really, we have to go through all these theatrics. Like, I didn't kick that shit,
What are you talking about? Oh, boy. So, Vlasic ties it up. First of the year. Meier ends up back with the Hertl and LeBanc line. I was kind of wondering why that wasn't a thing for a while, but towards the end of the second, it's back to being a thing. They get at least in my mind, some few better looks, but then your boy Barabanov,
yes sir,
taking the lead with a very soft backhand. Like Mrazek came out first half of this game, he was keeping Chicago in it, and then the fucking wheels fell off for him.
Yeah, I was very much thinking the first half of this game, I was very much thinking like, yeah, the Sharks are going to get goalied here,
Oh, dude. And then he gives up the soft rebound to Barabanov, so the Sharks take the lead, and then the next 2 goals are just rebounds that he needs to have. Those were, I mean, Meier bearing a rebound off of a Harrington shot, which Mrazek should have had, and then Svechnikov buries another one, and it's game over.
Well, and did you notice, not obviously the only one that would fall under the sort of backdoor descriptor that you were talking about would be the Vlasic goal. But did you notice how all 5 of these goals were in and around the side of the net?
Oh, dude, like everything was like within 5 feet of the paint.
Right.
But,
and so
I mean, they start, a couple of them, like I'm saying, they start with shots up high, but it's
no, of course,
those Mrazek rebounds. It's like, but you've got guys that are there to bury him.
Right. And even though those other 4 goals, obviously, I don't know that you could classify them as backdoor goals, but it's kind of maybe backdoor adjacent, right? And I think to the point you were making a week ago, like, hey, something is clearly working here. Like, you might as well exploit it until you can't.
Oh, absolutely. Tony Couture in the chat coming in saying, Blackhawks collapsed. Let the Sharks dominate last half of the game. Hawks are looking extremely discombobulated with no team chemistry and stink. And that will lead you to being the worst team in the NHL.
I was going to say, like, people talk about how bad the Sharks are, and they are, don't get me wrong, but that team is, like, it's brutal. And they even on the broadcast.
It sullies the good name of shit show.
Well, and they're the only team that doesn't have double digits in wins currently.
Mm-hmm.
And like, even Arizona's better than them. And
that's saying something, right?
Right. And now, I don't know. An interesting choice was made last summer. I understand, like I said, going through their rebuild, right? Which very obvious that team needed to go through a rebuild. I understand that. But the big pieces that they had gotten rid of, right? Alex DeBrincat is 25. Dylan Strome is 25. Dominic Kubalik, I believe, is 24 or 25.
So what the fuck are they doing there?
Kirby Doc, I believe, is 22. So it's like,
what are they doing?
Again, I look at this and I think, man, they're shitty right now, but these guys are still young enough to where if you turn it around, like, they can be part of the solution.
Right.
And so I'm thinking, like, do they just have zero hope whatsoever?
Well, dude, and Seth Jones is nothing to sneeze at.
No, Seth. Well, I kind of feel like Seth Jones is why they're in sort of this bind, if you will, right? Because they traded for Seth Jones last summer, and they gave up like 2 first-round picks and a defenseman prospect, and like a bucket full of assets. And so obviously, as good as Seth Jones is, made their team worse. And so I kind of feel like trading away, they got a first for Doc, a first for DeBrincat. I kind of feel like trading away these guys was very much like, we screwed ourselves on the Seth Jones deal. Now we kind of have to basically screw ourselves somewhere else to make up for the Seth Jones deal, right?
Sure.
But and then again, and this was a conversation that was had over the summer, especially leading up to the draft. But Dylan Strome, again, 25 years old, was a restricted free agent, and they just let him go. And he's on pace for like 65 points this year with the Capitals. Dominic Kubalik, same kind of thing, was a pending restricted free agent. They didn't send him a QO. They just let him go. And same thing, on pace for 65-ish points with the Red Wings. So you don't want to keep these players. That's perfectly fine. Trade them for something.
Dude, that's what I'm saying.
Right?
And Larry in the chat saying Kane and Tays have 1 foot out the door. I'm totally shocked that they didn't push to be moved before the season started. They saw the roadmap.
Well, I think it's as far as I know, it's a salary cap thing. Like,
oh, they're just
waiting for
keep getting that value lower and lower.
Exactly, because by the trade deadline, I like there's 2 ways to look at it, right? If you're a team that can afford it, go after someone as soon as you recognize that you need them, right? But at the same time, from Chicago's perspective, the longer they hold on to them, they're just keep decreasing the money owed, right? And so eventually they'll be really cheap, retain them at 50%. Another team will retain them. how I understand it is that Kane is more likely to go than Taves is.
Yeah.
I sort of have I don't know that I want to call it a conspiracy theory, more of a prediction,
Break out the
but
tinfoil.
I'm kind of thinking like, I mean, the Rangers, good young team, right? Kind of could use an elite veteran, which Patrick Kane is. And just so happens that one of Kane's line mates the year he won the Hart Trophy happens to be on the Rangers. I don't know if you've heard of him, Artemi Panarin. So
Rings a bell.
To me, I kind of sort of put the puzzle pieces together and I'm like, maybe there's something there,
Yeah, well, fact of the matter is they have 3 cups over the last 22 years or the 12 years to cry into. So that's fine.
Right. I mean, yeah, I don't think anybody is upset for them, but just
you've won 25% of the cups over the last 12 years.
Right. But from an outside perspective, right, you just take a look and you're like, Jesus Christ, they're so bad.
Mm-hmm. But you know what? Chiefs still got their 10, 12, and 15 championship shirts.
Yeah. I mean, those will never go away, right?
That's all I'm saying. Well, I mean, as long as they're spelled correctly. That was before Fanatics started making stuff. But, if Chicago really wanted to win this, I don't know how they don't, but how do you not put in vaunted Sharks killer in net, Alex Stalock?
Yeah, I mean, if they wanted to win the game, yeah, I would have. But
I'm just saying. Because they all love Stalock, so they've been like, nah, we're not going to score on you. We like you too much. So this is another one where the Sharks special teams, which is going to be kind of an overarching thing of the show tonight, because it was certainly mentioned enough. The Sharks drew penalties early on in this game. They get 2 in the first. They get 1 very early in the third because Chicago gets called for hella dudes. And they get the first 3 power plays, 0 for 3. I don't even know that they got 2 shots on goal in all 3 of those. It is so bipolar, this power play.
Right.
And so at that point, I'm going, here we go again. But it's the Sharks draw penalties. They don't cash in. And then tonight, let's be honest, there was some fluky goals.
Yeah.
I mean, it's that rebound that Meier buries, the Svechnikov rebound. You're not going to see too many goalies give up ones like that. The what was it? That softie from Barabanov. I mean, oof.
To the Sharks' credit, though, I mean, making the most out of your opportunities, right?
Oh, absolutely. Like the Gadjevic one, like nobody could see where that puck was coming from. So that I'll give you.
Mm-hmm.
The Vlasic one, that could have went either way. It's one of those times where I'm going, oh boy, they're going to review that. Yeah, as soon as I saw it, I'm going, well, he doesn't kick it. He's trying to stop and it glances off of him.
Yeah.
And Randy and Drew were talking about, he's obviously, if anything, he's trying to like settle it to get it up to a stick.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm going, well, how often does San Jose win these? So and you could even hear like the negativity in Randy and Drew. Like they're just going to, well, once they call this back, they'll still only be down 1 goal. And then all of a sudden the surprise, the shock and awe in Randy's voice. The NHL has said that's a goal.
Well, you know what? I was very unsure on how things were going to fall with that one until I saw the angle from the camera they have on the Jumbotron, because from way up, that high, you can tell right away that the puck hits off of him, like in the, through the motion of him trying to stop up, right?
Yeah, it's
like
a glancing blow.
Right. There was no kick whatsoever. So as soon as to me, you could have showed me just that one and I would have been like, yeah, that's a goal. You know what I mean?
Yeah. It's not one point did Vlasic say, "Can I kick it?"
Right.
Ricky, I kind of like Ricky's comment in the chat. He says, "I'm despondent. This team just not suck enough to get Bedard. Karlsson is a curse. Trade him right fucking now." Because Karlsson is single-handedly keeping this team filled with hope.
No, but you know what? It's good because if you are on team trade Karlsson, don't you want him to look really, really good?
Yes. But you also think, like, where would this Sharks team be if they had Karlsson from last season? You know what I mean?
Shit. I mean,
where he like, what did Brody say on the cast, that he's in on 45% of the goals that have been scored so far?
Yeah, I believe it.
So you take that factor out of it. Hey,
I mean,
what's the record rate? 12, 20, and 7. Dude, you take that out of it. I would say Karlsson's probably responsible for 6 of those Sharks' 12 wins. And again, you might be able to debate that number even higher.
Well, I'll tell you this: he's got 13 goals this year. 3 of them are game winners. So,
or is that what you call high value on the Maduel?
Yeah, that's exactly what that is. And even, like a lot of his goals, I mean, if you really want to get into it, 13 goals, 11 of them are high value.
Dude, hey, you want to talk about high value tonight? Barabanov, your boy.
Yeah, and you know what? I kind of look at it sort of shoe on the other foot, right? If the Sharks were getting this Erik Karlsson, and I hate to say what if, right?
Yeah, of course.
But if the Sharks were getting this Erik Karlsson a few years ago,
so
3.5 specifically.
Oh, 2019. Yeah.
Maybe no, that's not even where I'm gonna go.
Oh, okay, whip it out.
I know what you're saying, but maybe Brent Burns, who's coming off of a career best season, is traded a little bit sooner.
Oh, solid point.
For more pieces in return.
Solid point.
What do I know?
So with that, I think we can kind of put a bow on this. It's a 5-2 victory for San Jose. Boy, I'm trying to think. Is that their 4th win in their last 12 games for the month of, in their last 12 games? It was just a 13th game now that we're in January.
Yeah, it's as they say, not good.
It's been a minute.
Yeah, they've won 4. I mean, they've won 4 of their last 10. So
there you go. So that's the game. That's the wrap versus Chicago. If anything, look, 3 stars. Barabanov, hey, first star, baby. How does he get first star and Erik Karlsson gets second? I don't know. Interesting. Couture 3rd star. I'm surprised they didn't throw one at Vlasic. Had that been a home game, Vlasic's getting a star.
And that point that you just made, while I do agree with it, is exactly why 3 stars, I think, is the stupidest thing ever.
Oh, dude, it's so stupid. Like, well, I'm dying to know. Somebody needs to let me know when that has to be submitted by. Is that like with 10 minutes left in the third?
Yeah, I have no clue. I have no idea.
I gotta know what that submission rate is, because I don't know how many times I've seen the 3 stars and I'm like, what the like, how does this person not equate into there? But whatever. Hey, Big Bird. Right. Oh, dude. Big Bird just shut you out, dude. I got a Happy New Year. You did not.
Well, that's okay. I mean,
all right.
On a different podcast, I could go on and on about how celebrating New Year's Eve is stupid, but
everything is stupid to Hockey Jerk.
That's only partially true.
All right. So, in fact, saying that was stupid. Right? So the Sharks started off the week. Let's get to the beginning of the week. Start off the week at Vancouver. It's a 6-2 loss. It's Reimer's 3rd straight start. Spencer getting a start for Vancouver. One of the rare times that both teams go reverse retro. And I got to be honest, thank God that's over.
Really?
At least for the Sharks. Yeah, I'm just not a big fan of the Seals reverse retro.
I like them.
I think had it been spread out over the course of the season, I might have embraced it a little bit more. But the fact that it was so condensed, where they played like 8 games and 7 of them were in December.
Well, not only that, but I think
and again, let's be honest, kind of tips as a cash grab. Like, yeah, let's wear the hell out of these between Thanksgiving and Christmas.
Sure.
Yeah, no.
Yeah, no, that's a good point. I just I more take the jersey nerd / historian approach to it. And we talked about it. I don't know when we talked about all the reverse retro jerseys, but how are you not wearing this jersey against teams that the Seals called rivals back in the day. You know what I mean?
Well, yeah, but dude, that just goes back to the silliness of the 25th anniversary Heritage jerseys. When the schedule came out, they were only wearing them like 4 times first?
It was 3, and then they petitioned to get it to 5.
Yeah, but it was 3. But if memory serves, I know at least 1, if not 2, but I know at least 1 of the teams that they were playing it against didn't fucking exist when those jerseys did.
Yeah, it was
Columbus?
Columbus, Detroit.
No,
Ottawa.
Detroit was not one of the first ones because that's what caused the shitstorm.
I'm more just rattling off who they played.
Oh, okay.
It was Columbus, Detroit, Ottawa, Calgary, and Pittsburgh. Those were not in that order, but those are the teams they played.
Okay. But just the fact that initially Detroit wasn't involved, I'm like, how do you wear your most iconic jersey and not wear them against the team that you had your most iconic playoff against? Like somebody somewhere in the promotions department or whatever screwed up royally. But anyway,
and
we should probably divert from this.
No, but you're right, because again, like, you want to put some history on it, right? Like, wear it against
history on that name.
Right, wear it against Calgary, Detroit,
Dallas,
yeah, even L.A. or Colorado. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I didn't. Get
and even same with this one. We went through. We literally listed off who the Seals divisional opponents were. It was L.A., I believe it was Vancouver, and I believe it was the it was the Maple Leafs and the Boston Bruins. And it's like, you're telling me you couldn't have found it in there somewhere?
It certainly wasn't Philly.
Right.
But anyway, the Vancouver game, your scratches, Gadjevic and Shimmick, that makes sense, fine. Special teams, Sharks go 1 for 2, and they kill off the one penalty that they allowed. So on that front, you're going, all right, we're all good. We're all good. But Horvat would open the scoring. Pettersson scores on the doorstep. And then with a minute left, the Sharks draw power play, and Meier would tip in an EK65 shot pass, and that's great. Meier with goals in 5 straight. It's another backdoor for San Jose. The Sharks power play is kind of staying hot, at least in that regard. But let's be honest, Vancouver's penalty kill is shit. Don't trust me. Go to NHL.com and take a look.
Accurate.
But it's, ends up being a 4-point night for what's the Chief's name?
Mikheyev.
There you go. So I mean, the Sharks to me were just completely outmatched, out-hustled, outworked. 5 Sharks finished -3. And it's bad when no post-game media was, none of the media hits from the post-game were posted to the Sharks channel. I thought that was a little sus. So the only thing from here is Meier gets his 300th NHL point, 20th goal of the season. Does he hit 40, bro?
Timo, yeah, absolutely he does.
There you go.
He scored. I mean, I know we already talked about it, but he scored tonight too.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
He's on a pace like we thought last year was awesome, which it was. Don't get me wrong.
What's his pace right now? Like 43?
Right now, if he stays at this pace, 44.
There you go.
Which would be, I think would fulfill a prophecy that you and I have been bandering about for a little while now. But
we won't get credit for it. That's okay.
No, it's okay. But I don't know. And maybe you're with me on this, or maybe you're not, but I feel like the Sharks have been so bad this year, which we've talked about. Like, I find myself, because the Sharks, they're just sort of going through the motions. We know what they are. We know what this roster is, and that's that. I've found myself kind of, reading the tea leaves, like on other teams, the teams the Sharks play.
Mm-hmm.
And, it's kind of what it's led me to is like, it seems like every team has got some kind of something going on, whether it's controversy or something interesting to watch, or, just anything notable, right? And you compare that to the Sharks, where it's like it just feels like, okay, yeah, it's Sunday and the Sharks play. And that's really it. You know what I mean?
No, you're right. Let's move on to the Philly game. It's a 4-3 overtime loss. This is another one of those games where the Sharks...
The kick in the dick.
Dude. Well, let's just go back to tonight for a second. They give up the first 2 goals and then rally back for a win. Is that maybe the third time that's happened this year? A 2-goal deficit and they come back to win? I'd be interested in...
I think it was that high.
Yeah. See, I thought 3 was the sweet spot, but who knows? So if somebody in the chat wants to look that up for me, that'd be great. So versus Philadelphia, again, 4-3 loss in overtime. This is another one where they had a 3-1 lead and coughed it up, Kakinen back in the net. Philly, same record over the previous 10 coming into this. They're both 3-5-2. Philly starts Samuel Ersson in net, and I'm like, who? Oh, because it's only his second NHL start ever. So, of course, he gets a victory because the Sharks love giving brand new goalies like their first taste of success. It happens.
Yeah, and that's fine.
Yeah, Gregor gets scratched in this. I don't understand. Gregor was scratched for 3 straight this week, and I don't understand why, because one of our buddy Pashelka had an article earlier in this week, and it talked about how slow the Sharks are. They're just a slow team. They don't have much in the way of speed on their team.
Sure.
Well, you know who they do have when it comes to speed is Gregor. I would argue is probably the fastest Shark.
Yeah, he's up there for sure.
Why is he not playing? I mean, who is faster than Gregor?
I would say maybe Nico Sturm.
Really?
Yeah.
Ooh,
but
I don't know.
But again, that's one guy, right?
Sure.
You know what I mean? It's like,
Mm-hmm.
well, I mean, is there any, like, there's room for both, you know what I mean? As Curtis's article mentioned, there's room for both. And I mean, it's tough, right? Because you sort of like, I think the natural instinct is to try and put Gregor somewhere in the bottom of the lineup, right? But I like Lorentz, and Sturm. I've liked what they've brought. I'm not pulling them out, obviously.
I'm not a big Lorentz guy, but okay.
But again, like Lorentz, like his, the expectations are so low, so it's like, he's doing what he needs to do. I'm not tripping on it. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Like, I'm more looking at, like, I mean, Kunin's not in the lineup, so he's it's not a fair one to point out, right? But you could look at Svechnikov or Bonino. Just, I think what they've done points wise is fine. Like, if you're just staring at the player, I think it's fine. But if you're sort of looking at how high they're playing in the lineup, right? I mean, again, like Svechnikov, he's got 8 points in 31 games, which that type of player and that money, that's good. That's what you want from a player like that. But he's playing up in the lineup, so based on that merit, you'd be expecting more, right? And you're not getting it. And
sure.
Same thing with Nick Bonino. Like, what he's done, it's decent, but how high he is in the lineup, you need more. Same thing with Matt Nieto, right? And so that's not to say that Gregor is going to be better than all 3 of those guys, but I have a hard time understanding how he's going to be worse than any of those guys.
Well, too, and my whole thing is how up until like a week and a half ago, why would he be a worse option than Lindblom?
Right.
But all of a sudden Lindblom starts putting up points, I was
going to say Lindblom kind of sticking it to you a little bit.
Dude, zero bump, baby.
But again, like, if even with Lindblom, like, I know he's been probably the most disappointing forward up to this point, but the talent is still there, right?
Mm-hmm.
With all these guys they're trying with Couture and Meier, like, I would give Lindblom a try. You know what I mean? Like, another try. I mean, I kind of feel like they've gone through the whole rotation this season. Maybe they need to get back to the top of the order kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I still, this. I mean, I've talked about it quite a bit this season. I'm still expecting Noah Gregor to be traded at the deadline just because for some reason David Quinn hates him. And
Chateau Bow Wow.
Right. And just, with the players the Sharks have under contract currently, but also the guys who are going to graduate onto the team next year, it just logistically doesn't seem like it's going to work out,
Yeah. So to kind of finish off the Philly game, Meier gets a 6-point game streak going. I mean, dude, the big boys are making noise. You know, it's the Karlsson and Meier show right now. It is what it is. But I will say, dude, when Philly tied this game up, and then Randy Hahn, as it's going, is well, Philly coming into the game tonight are 0-7 in the overtime in the extra frame, and I'm like, oh well, they're about to be 1-7. San Jose loves, fixing bad streaks.
And I feel like not only that, but it seems to me like anytime they've squandered a lead late and gone to overtime, it feels like they just lose. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's like the air's let out of the balloon.
Right. I've never seen them give up a lead late, go to overtime, and then win it back. And that's not to say that it didn't happen this year, but obviously it wasn't notable enough for me to remember.
You're right. The only thing here's the best thing for me for this game. It's like, first off, the broadcast is, I don't know how many times they mentioned that Greg Papa was at the game. For those of you who don't know, Greg Papa is on a local sports radio show, and he's also the radio voice of the San Francisco 49ers. Great, fine. He never talks about the Sharks on his sports radio show. He was wearing Niners shit there.
Well, so here's the thing.
Like, who cares?
This conversation about Greg Papa, the first thing you said to bring it up, right? For those who don't know, how could anybody not know when he goes to the game wearing a 49ers coat? Like, and I, if you follow AJ and I on Twitter, you saw our interaction, but I said feels a bit heroic. And what I meant by that was it kind of felt to me like he was going to the game like, hey, 49ers coat, like, ask me who I am. You know what I mean?
Oh, dude. You're so right. So
that's kind of how it felt to me. It felt very heroic.
Yeah, like that's one of those appearances. Like, okay, maybe you mention it on social media. You certainly don't need to mention it on the pre, post, or during the actual broadcast. Literally, it came across as, who gives a shit?
Well, and you know what? Here's the other thing, and this is for sure conspiracy theory. Obviously, if you watched at any point this season, the 49ers are a good team. I mean, NFC West champions.
Dude, 9th straight win today.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's felt to me both at the game, on TV, and on social media, the Sharks persona, if you will, is very much trying to be like, oh, hey, look, like, we're friends with the team that's good.
Are those coattails big enough for us?
Like, all the time, like, the Sharks will get shelled like 7-0, and the 49ers win, and the Sharks are on Twitter. Great win, friends. It's
those,
okay.
Those handshake tweets.
Right. And don't get me wrong. Like I'm a Sharks fan. I'm a 49ers fan. I like seeing my two teams being buddies with each other. But Jesus Christ, like,
yeah.
We get it, and even, when I was in San Jose over Thanksgiving weekend at the game, there was a 49ers player at the game, which is perfectly fine. Very awesome to see, obviously. But, of course, throw him up on the Jumbotron playing Bang Bang Niner Gang. It's like, what, like, okay, we got it,
Yeah, I want to go to a Giants game or a Niners game where some Sharks show up. Are they wearing Shark shit, or are they wearing the shit that, of your team? I don't know. Anyway, I don't want to go down this fucking hole.
I honestly think the only reason that I honestly think the only reason that a Sharks player would get recognized at a baseball game is if they went to an A's game and Glenn Kuiper was like, hey, that guy.
Hey now. Yeah, well, that's the other thing is that Glenn Kuiper, voice of the A's, was also at this same game and did not get near the same amount of pub on all the channels. Well,
Glenn Kuiper, he also used to, he used to cover the Sharks to an extent. So, you know what I mean? Well, so that's what I'm saying is like, like he would be like, oh yes, he used to work for us, Well, remember when we didn't suck? Like,
back in the day. So this Philadelphia game, it's another game the Sharks can't hold the lead multiple times. And it's a shitty game when the third of 3 highlights on the post-game show is of a kid's mullet in the crowd. Like, if that's where you have to, like, find your like, give me a break. On the good point though, it was a sellout.
Sure.
So at least you have that. That's
so
good.
they say. Many people are saying.
Yeah, that's good. That's a good thing.
No, I thought, it's funny you're talking about like highlights, right? And what's interesting to the townsfolk. Yeah, when I think it was coming out of the first period when they're like, "Oh, when we come back, we're going to preview the Winter Classic." And I'm thinking, why?
Your team ain't in it. Who cares?
Right, but immediately I was kind of in a not a shitty mood, but more like a shit disturber mood earlier. And I was like thinking, I'm like, man, and I even tweeted it out. I'm like, how much you want to bet there's going to be some commentary about how Boston is in the Winter Classic, and a couple years ago they were in the Tahoe game, and the Sharks got robbed out of the Tahoe game that had no fans. Like, I don't know. It's you're right though. Like the highlight of the game is not even relating to the game.
Yeah, that's exactly. That's when it's a bad game.
Bad. Like
everything sucks.
Can we like these seasons that the Sharks have been shitty, right? Like, have we gone long enough? Like, can we call this an era now?
Era.
Like, can we call this like the dog shit era?
Yeah,
or
this is like they say the dead puck era. This is the dead shark era. It's fine.
There you go.
This is the Pavelski-less era.
Oh, brother!
Oh,
don't start.
Yeah, we'll get to that later.
I put out a tweet. I don't want you to prove me right. So
ball washing will happen in a few minutes. Tony Couture saying, "Why does the Brent Burns trade look worse and worse every week? I love watching Carolina Hurricanes right now, a real Stanley Cup contender with Burns leading them. How did Mike Greer blow the Burns trade? I don't know that he blew the Burns trade. They got back. I mean, they got." Oh God, what's his name?
McAniemi, Lorentz, and a draft pick.
Yeah, and they got half the money off the books.
Right, which I mean, like Burns is playing very well for them, and that's good. Like, good for him.
A good player on a good team is playing well. Well, there you go.
Yeah, it makes you think, right?
Yeah,
but
it's a very Ian response.
But again, if you want to I don't know, if you want to break it down, right? I mean, yes, okay, so you can be upset about the fact that the draft pick the Sharks got was only a third, but again, first, third, seventh, they're all lottery tickets, right? It's like
your odds are a little bit better the higher it is, but still sure, lottery.
But you still have an extra seat at the table, right? Mm-hmm. And so it's kind of like, why don't we, I want to wait and see who that third ends up being before we even tear it down.
Well,
tear down the trade. And
not only that, dude, it was pretty. I mean, I mentioned this to you.
Yes.
Right after it was like locker cleanout day. Mm-hmm. I remember talking to you about this privately, going, dude, I don't know if you saw that Burns end of the season interview. That dude looks like he's got a foot out the door. He
looked legitimately, like, I don't mean to make light, but he looked depressed, like legitimately depressed. And so I'm kind of like, man, like, again, referencing what you're talking about, like thinking, man, like how much more of this does he have in him, right?
Yeah, right. Exactly. Well, and, what I mean? And our Kevin Lacey bringing up, is it a bad trade? Because look at what Karlsson's been doing now that Burns isn't in his way.
That's, dude.
Fair point.
You, me, Kevin, Ian, Gen X, we've been saying this, and not to, break my arm patting myself on the back or patting you on the back or anybody, but again, like we've broken it down so many times over the last 4 years. Like, with both, you're taking away 5v5 time, power play time, offensive starts. You're taking those away from each other.
And
right?
I'm a little surprised they didn't try Burns at forward again.
But again, to Kevin's point, thank you, Kevin, for providing that. Like, trading away Burns has unlocked Erik Karlsson, which is a good thing for the Sharks. Whether they keep him or trade him, it's a good thing. The draft pick, still too early to tell. The draft has not even happened yet.
Yeah.
I know people are like, Lorentz, whatever. But again, what's been asked of him, he's been quite good. So I'm not tripping about it. And
I would debate you a little bit on that because, Chief started off on the top line and has been in the, fourth line for like the last 30 games.
Well, he started on the fourth line, got moved up to the top line, and then moved back down.
Oh, so, I thought he was on the top line for opening night in Prague.
The second game he was, not the first game.
Oh, okay.
The shine on Lindblom wore off pretty quick, and that's how Lorenz got up there. Barabanov was also hurt, but again,
you're right. I forgot about that. Solid point.
Lorenz, he's a fourth line guy, and as we've talked about, our expected goal scoring pace for fourth line players, he's right there,
Mm-hmm.
and McIniemi, again, kind of a lesser known goalie prospect for a lot of Sharks fans, but you look at what he's done with the Barracuda. Yes, the record's not the best, obviously, and maybe you'd like the stats to be a little bit better, but just watching him play, he's been solid at times. And he's only 23. Like, you have no idea what's going to happen with this guy. You know what I mean?
Well, not only that, but I mean, if you look at Ian Reed's Twitter, he on the regular flambés the defensive efforts of the Barracuda. It's like Patrick Waugh is not going to stop these goals.
Exactly. And so I'm not going to sit here and tell you that the Burns trade was absolutely good for the Sharks, but I think there's some elements it's too early to tell, and I think there's other elements where I can say, yeah, it was good. The only quote unquote bad part about trading away Burns is I'm not going to name names, but there's some super fans out there. There are some super fans out there who are crying because their favorite player is gone, and that's fine. I understand that.
Was that a reference to me and Pavelski?
No comment.
Oh, hello. Oh, speaking of which, the Sharks played Dallas last night.
Oh, God.
Let the ball washing begin. James Reimer would return to the net. It's a 5-2 loss for San Jose. Dude, Dallas is just a wagon right now. 3 regulation losses in 15 December games. They're best of the West. I mean, hi-yo. But this was a game that really came down to special teams. The Sharks power play goes 0 for 4. They only kill 1 of 3. And during those 4 power plays, they have 1 shot on goal. Post-game, Couture is quoted as saying, "Losing sucks. But we can only continuously say we did good things so many times." And it's like, yeah.
But even then, that's a nothing statement, if you ask me. I mean,
no, I like what he said, because it's like, we can only hang our hat, well, moral victory or whatever. No, fuck you. You need a W.
No, and I agree 100%. I'm with you on that. But again, when Couture says we can only say this for so much, right? As I've talked about, we know what the Sharks team is. Who's the one person that controls what this Sharks team is? It's Mike Grier.
Mm-hmm.
So unless Couture is going to go into Mike Grier's office and say, "Hey, friend, let's get some better players," then it's going to be more of the same. And I don't
money making moves.
Right. And again, the same thing the last 4 years, right? The top guys. I mean, Meier, Couture, Hertl, Karlsson, they're 1 through 4 on this team in scoring. So you can't blame them. You can't blame Barabanov. I think maybe you could have a couple words about Kevin Labanc, but he's been very good ever since he got put into an appropriate position.
It's almost like the Nieto thing.
Right, but the problem since 2019 has been the bottom half of the lineup and the goaltending. It's not good enough. And I know, again, everybody creams their jeans about James Reimer, but he's sucked this year.
Yeah,
I'm sorry to say.
Well, the numbers prove that.
I don't know. Capo Kakinen could win every game he starts and never allow a goal, and you're gonna have people who say, "Oh, but Reimer," and it's like, okay, can we get real a little bit?
Dude, Reimer in his last 10 starts, I'm looking at it right now. We got 1, 2, 3, 4. 4 of 10 starts has a save percentage over 910, which is that even league average? Isn't league average like 912?
Well, 910, 911 has been the historical average, but scoring is up the last 2 years. So I guess you could say the current average is more in the 905, 906 range.
Well, then I guess you can't hang it too much on Reimer, because if that's the case, if that's how you're doing it, over his last 10 starts, 5 of them are 909 or better.
Right, but look at what he did last year,
Exactly. Yeah, when you compare it to and didn't Reimer like start almost like a career high amount of games? No, he did.
High.
Yeah. I know what it was that he almost got that 20th win and the team in front of him kind of hosed him.
Right, which he's only done twice.
Yeah, but yeah, Reims has been kind of hosed this season. Anyway, back to the Dallas game. It's special teams, as I noted. That was it. Barabanov was a star in this game. He was the lone star for me. And
whoa.
Yeah, I was going to say that.
I see what you did there.
Yeah, right?
Got him.
Pun not intended, but hey, funny coincidences happen. Quinn in the postgame was quoted as saying, "I'm pissed. We're going to put it together at some point. I don't know when that's going to be. We continue to make strides, but no one cares about losing a well-fought hockey game." And I'm like, hell yeah. Right there with you, Quinny. And then Pavelski, my man. 3-point night, baby. Goal, 2 assists. Hell yeah.
I saw that.
And the best part is that during this game, like early on when Han and Remenda were on it, there's Pavelski in a bit of a drought lately, only 2 goals in his last 20 games, and all of a sudden, kaboom!
I saw that you had tweeted that out. Oh, Pavelski 3-point night, all that stuff. And immediately my thought went back to, the conversation that we've had about certain people still acting like he's on the team. And so I was like, oh, why aren't the Sharks winning then?
Exactly. No, I saw your tweet. Oh, Tony coming after you, buddy. Tony in the chat says, Lorentz has been disappointing. Salary retained was unjustified. Brent Burns is 4th in scoring in Carolina. 4 goals, 23 assists, also a +6. Draft pick at 90th from start will be a long shot.
Okay, so let me ask you this then. A guy who's making $1 million getting 4th line minutes and scoring at a 4th line pace. What about that is disappointing? That sounds perfectly fine to me.
Yeah, you get what you pay for.
Right. Now if you want to put somebody
hold on. Again, it comes back to sometimes good players. Oh, can you take care of the chat, please?
Yep.
Sometimes good players react in good situations. Jonathan Chichu, not the biggest, scoring wonder that has ever been until Joe Thornton unlocked him. Sometimes the situation dictates and it works out for everybody. So, hey, look, Burns is in a good situation right now. All the best to him. I hope that the Stanley Cup final this year is Dallas versus Carolina because one of them's going to get it.
Well, and not only that, but if Burns is on, I'm sorry to say it.
Dude, Lacey coming in hot.
If Burns is still on this team, the Sharks are a worse team this year.
I would completely agree with you.
You know what I mean? And
yeah, because he's impeding Karlsson's progress.
Yeah, and vice versa.
Yeah.
And again, I think, and I don't mean to call anybody out, but there are some guys.
Do it.
No, there are some guys. Lorentz is one of them, where they just not everybody's going to score 20 goals. Some guys are just going to plug away, right? They're going to kill penalties and they're going to be, fast and smart defensively, and they're going to score 7 goals for you. And Lorentz is right on target to do that. I don't understand what the problem is.
Yeah. I feel like I owe you an apology. I just realized that I have a band function here. So I'll have to make use of that later. So anyway, let's finish this off. The Dallas game, look, Pavelski has a night. Ends up getting an extension the next day. I wonder why. This was a game that Dallas scored in almost every way possible, all but a penalty shot. They scored power play, even strike, shorthanded. I mean, bada bing, bada boom, badam. Even an empty netter. So that's...
Man, talk about...
The other... well, hold on. The other thing I just want to point out real quickly, go and look historically, the Sharks' record for playing on New Year's Eve, not good.
No,
I think
it's
they
not.
have like 2 wins in the last 18 years. Now they haven't played on New Year's all 18 years.
Right.
Right? But over the course of like the last 18 years, I think they're somewhere in the ballpark of like 2-14. It's not good.
You know, and here's the thing to kind of go back on like looking at what teams are doing and, you know, all that kind of stuff, right? So we kind of saw last year with Dallas, right? The super line, if you will, Pavelski, Robertson, Hintz, right? Like that was a really good line.
Dude,
and
the best line in the West right now.
Right. And the conversation was, man, you know, think about what Dallas could be if they got some help from the guys beneath them, right? Well, they're kind of getting it. You know what I mean? I mean,
imagine what they could do if they got, I don't know, Erik Karlsson.
but you know what I mean? Like and what's interesting enough, and what kind of goes back to the point I've made before about, you know, going through rebuilds or rough patches or whatever, and the guys you have still being part of the solution, you know? I mean, and rightfully so, but a lot of people have been giving Jamie Benn shit for about 4 or 5 years now, and you know, they kind of waited it out, saw it through, and he's come out to the other side, and he's having a really good season. And so to sort of put a Sharks spin on it, you know, maybe, you know, Couture and Vlasic and Karlsson and Meier and Barbonov, maybe these guys do need to get traded, right? But maybe not. You know what I mean?
I feel you. So those are the 4 games this week. We have to move on. We're already over hour. Erik Karlsson now on pace for 111 points. No defenseman has scored 100 since 91-92, but we're getting even closer to this. No defenseman not named Orr or Coffey has had more than 103 points. So, is he getting the Norris? You know, I mean, despite playing on what is not a great team.
Sure. I mean, because again, and we always have the conversation, right, about small sample size. You know, oh, well, yeah, that's great, but wait till the sample size grows. You know, that's always the conversation. But you look, I mean, you know, is 39 games, is that still a small sample size? I'm not sure. You know what I mean? Like he's leading defenseman in scoring by 11 points, so he's already built up a nice cushion. And to the point you made, you know, some people are going to say, oh, well, he's on a shitty team. How can he be the best defenseman? But look at what he's doing despite this team is shitty. Like, to sort of take it a step further, I wouldn't be surprised if, you know, there's a couple heroes out there who throw him a 4th place Hart Trophy vote.
Say what?
No, I was just talking about like with Erik, you know, like with Erik Karlsson, like he's leading defenseman in scoring by a good chunk. And, you know, I kind of feel like we're past the point of small sample size, right?
Absolutely.
But also, you know, you kind of mentioned, should he still get the looks because he's on a crappy team? Well, I think you could make the argument like, wow, look what he's doing in spite of how crappy this team is. And it makes me wonder,
dude, if anything, like, just start putting his name on it now.
Well, but to go even to a step further, like, do you think there are some heroes out there who will give him a 3rd place Hart Trophy vote?
Oof. I mean, dude, there's always a hero. We know.
Right. Yeah.
But I'm wondering how many more clickbait trade articles are we going to see? Because, I mean, we were inundated with them like a month ago. We had a really good time mocking and making fun of all that clickbait. So,
hey, you want to have something that's going to bake your noodle?
Oh, whip it out, bake it.
So everybody's talking about how great Brent Burns is doing.
Who?
Did you know Karlsson, that guy who sucks, has double the points that Brent Burns does? Just saying.
Hey.
As you pointed out, when you're on one of the best teams in the league, it's kind of easy to hide.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. No, I feel you.
Just saying.
Oh, boy. Excuse me. Special teams has just been a highlight over this last month. Over the 12 games in December, power play for the Sharks, 11 for 45. That's 24%. PK, well, while the power play has clicked up, the PK is, you know, That's all we heard about for the first, because that was the only good thing we're talking about, right? It was the only positive thing you could take when talking about the Sharks is look at how great their PK is. It's number one. Right? Well, it's fallen to fourth. And over December, it went from like 88, 90%. Now it's fallen to 71. But that's over the course of December, the entire month. Those numbers have changed a little bit over the last 5 games. Over the last 5, the power play has gone from 24% in December to 19%, but the PK has climbed from 71 to 85. Now, my point being there is that if you add up over December, that's 95%. And as we know, those two numbers have to hit over 100 to try to find success. Well, over the last 5 games, they only have that one win, yet that number is at 104% combined. So maybe that theory is bullshit. I don't know.
Well, I don't know. I mean, again, yes, it's fallen from first to fourth, which you've mentioned, but they still have a good penalty kill, right? And,
sure.
If the power play has gotten better, like that's obviously a good thing too. Of course, the power play has gotten better, as you mentioned, but that second unit is still awful.
Oh,
right?
it's dude, it's so horrific. But that's, I mean, what do you expect? We've literally, and to Quinn's credit, he said this from the jump. He's like, I'm putting my 5 best guys out there. I'm not going to try to sit there and go, well, let's put Hertl and Meier here and then Couture and LeBanc here. No, he's just like, I'm just going to, it's like, fuck it. My best 5, go out there 90 seconds straight. If the other guys get on for the last 30, good for them.
And I support that. You know what I mean?
Play the hand you got.
Right. Well, and here's the other thing. If we want to get into the numbers and really break it down a little bit, this season especially, but, last couple years, how much have we talked about what Kevin LeBanc needs to be successful, right?
Mm-hmm.
So the dialogue surrounding Kevin LeBanc has always been, oh, he's really good on the power play, but he can't seem to figure anything else out, right? And now you look at this year, 5 versus 5. Most of the season he's been with Hertl and Meier, or Hertl and Barabanov, or Couture and Meier. Some combination there.
He's top 6.
Yes, correct. And his 5v5 numbers are good. He's on the shitty second power play unit with Sturm. We like Sturm. Not really a power play guy.
Mm-hmm.
Same thing. You could make a lesser argument for Bonino, Nieto. Benning has been decent. I give him credit. He's turned it around since the first month of the season.
Big time. Totally agree.
Ferraro, what are you doing out there?
Oh, dude.
You know what I mean?
And he took 2 huge blocks tonight.
Right. But so you go back to that dialogue of like what LeBanc needs in order to be a successful player. So was always considered the power play specialist, right? Air quotes. Yet this year, 18 of his 21 points are at even strength. So imagine what LeBanc could do if that second power play unit wasn't so shitty.
Mm-hmm. I'm with you. And we're talking numbers. What do you got there? Numbers?
What do you got there? Numbers?
We talked about Reimer's last 10. Let's talk about Kakinen's last 9.
Huge.
Dude, I mean, 909 tonight versus the Blackhawks. But the previous 4, 880, 800, 750, 872. Then he jams in this shutout. Okay, good for you. But then 800, 731. So Chief has played one outstanding game, one, what you could say, because you brought up league scoring is up a little bit, so maybe league average goes from 912 to 909 or something. But so that means 2 good games over the last 8. Kakinen, I'm sorry. Are we at the point where we sit there and go, you know what? Maybe the Middleton for Kakinen deal.
No.
Okay. Show your work.
You tried this last week, and I really don't want to give you I don't want to shove you in a locker again, but I will.
Oh, shove it. No, that's good. No, I feel you. But that's what's going to be said, and all the silly social media hyperbole, all the hyperbolic BS on social media. Oh, Kakinen sucks and blah, blah, blah. Well, you know what? Reimer then sucks dog shit But
Right, exactly.
in the case of maybe it's because the defense sucks.
Well, and again,
you're leading the league and giving up high danger chances against,
And here's the thing: we like Jake Middleton, but he's not a unique player.
Yeah, he's not the guy who's going to get you over the hump. Kevin Lacey saying Kakinen has a lot of trouble finishing out games. He's concerned,
and that's a
valid concern.
But again, it's not it's not like some people on Facebook, right? Kakinen sucks because he can't grow a mustache like Middleton. You know what I mean? Like, again, we like Jake Middleton on this podcast, big fan, but
huge.
He's a guy. How many rugged 6'3" left-handed defensemen with a mustache you can find? They're out there.
Well,
right?
and you mentioned earlier.
How many goalies who have above-average starter potential can you just pluck off of a waiver wire or a free agency list?
Well, would you say that Middleton right now is that much of a? And you might even want to run the numbers, by the way. But would you say that Middleton is that big of a talent increase over Megna? You know what I'm saying?
No, I do know what you're saying, and they're. I mean, I would really want to dig heavy into it, but they're quite similar players, right?
See, okay, so that's what I'm saying. And
Megna's got more points and less penalty minutes.
And I would push to say
Megna's also a plus player on this shitty team somehow,
which is huge. But dude, and then I would say to a certain extent, like Benning has helped solve Vlasic a little bit.
Benning was brutal the first month of the season.
Oh, yeah, horrible. But it took him some time to settle in. That happens.
Yeah.
Fuck, it took Erik Karlsson 3 years to settle in. Oh!
Right. I would say ever since the middle of November, Benning has actually been quite solid. I mean,
Dude, I would say he's been the second best defenseman on the team.
I would agree with that. I mean, shit, dude, he's on pace to get like 40 points this year.
Yeah, who? Dude, it's huge.
Yeah, he's again, and you know what? I'll gladly fall on that sword because I thought he was the worst player to ever put on a pair of skates, but he's been since the first month of the season ended. He's been good. He's 5 points away from a career high in like 30 less games.
See, that's all I'm saying. And Lacey pointed out, dude blocks shots, man.
Megna.
Hey now.
Right, and it's. And even Megna, right? Last year, I was very much like, why the hell is Megna even in the NHL? But Guy put in the work and he stepped up and he's given it to me, and I appreciate it.
That's the beautiful thing about this sport and some of these players. How much did I dump on Brendan Dillon his first 2 years with the Sharks?
Yeah, and rightfully so.
Yeah, and he turned me around, flipped his game, and I'm like, all of a sudden, I'm like, dude, I'm like the biggest Dillon fan on the planet.
Well, there was a stretch there where he was literally the best defenseman on the team.
Oh, dude, without a doubt.
Emphasis on the defense.
You're right. So with that, let's move on.
Probably best man, too. He's a real stand-up guy.
Oh, dude.
Honestly, a quite pleasant guy to talk to.
Yeah, find another.
Yeah, right.
Let's move on to Hero and Zero. I mean, look, I shouldn't say the sexy pick. The easy pick, the obvious pick is EK, literally putting up all the points. I think you could even say Meier, but I'm going to steal a card from your deck, and I'm going to say, you know what, for me this week, Barabanov.
Right, yeah. And you know what, that's a completely,
sneaky,
solid pull.
Sneaky guy. He's I don't want to say sneaky, he's quietly getting it done, as you like to say.
Sure. Yeah, and again, I'm going back to what I said, he's played... how many games has he played now? He's played 126 games in his career now. Is it still small sample size?
No, this
is what I mean?
This, again, every time I see him have a week like he did, like scored tonight, scored last night, has gotten some assists, he's never a guy that I'm watching going, Barabanov, what are you doing? You know what I mean?
I don't know that he's ever made a mistake.
So that's all I'm saying. And it's like, and how did we get this guy again? Where is Antti Suomela?
See, that's the play. That's the big brain play. You got to prey on these good players who are buried on good teams.
Dude, that's
right?
what I'm saying. Like, for all the people, and I'm one of them,
Mm-hmm.
that sits there and goes, letting Pavelski leave, not giving him that third year, without a doubt, worst move that Doug Wilson ever made. Without a doubt. Number 2 isn't even close.
Well, it helps that there's been 4 years of data compiled on that.
Sure. But I wasn't a fan when it happened.
Sure.
And there's plenty of evidence of that. But I will say, dude, the Barabanov trade is climbing the charts, for like one of the best moves he ever made. I mean, obviously you're going to talk about Sturm, Stewart, and Primo for Thornton. Obviously, huge game changer, franchise changer. Yes, obviously always number 1. Getting Brent Burns for, what was it, Devin Setaguchi, a first in
Charlie Coyle.
Yeah, Coyle, although who has gone on to make a good name for himself in Boston. Fine.
But you know what? Between those two players, there's one I'd rather have more.
And then, of course, the Dan Boyle acquisition.
Mm-hmm.
So those blockbuster moves, Wilson has obviously, coming out smelling like a rose.
Gus Nyquist was a good trade.
Oh, obviously a good trade. But, dude, this sneaky good move to Suomela for Barabanov. Get the fuck out of here.
Well, and again, right? Like preying on, and by the way,
if he could make 8 more of those moves, this team would have won 4 cups in a row.
Right. And if you're keeping score at home, Barabanov, which again, we're talking about points versus dollars, right? Barabanov, who's making $2.5 million this year and next year. He's
only
on pace for
$2.5 million.
Yes, only.
You think about what he brings to the table versus LeBanc, and LeBanc gets twice his money?
Dude, Barabanov is, first of all, because you brought it up, Barabanov is on pace to score more points than LeBanc is this year.
Of course.
Second of all, Barabanov, again, we've talked about it so much, but we're going to do it again.
As we tend to do.
Missed all of training camp. Missed the start of the regular season.
Yeah. And just has slid in so nicely.
And hasn't gotten to be with Meier and Hertl, or Hertl and Balsers, or Hertl and Dahlin. Hasn't gotten to be with pairs that he's familiar with. He's been with Hertl and Meier. He's been with Hertl and LeBanc. He's been with Couture and Meier. He's been with Nico Sturm and God knows who. And Guy just puts up points. He's on pace for 52 points this year.
Dude, we have
$2.5 million.
Let's be honest.
Do it.
Let's call it what it is. I think you and I, whether I'm riding shotgun or I'm in the driver's seat, one of us is in those spots. We've been driving that Barbie train since day one.
Dude, I
want to give it to you. You have been driving the train. I've been riding shotgun.
Well, dude, when the Sharks traded for Barabanov, you know how many people said, "Who the fuck is that?"
Everybody but you.
And I was supposed to get his damn Uprising jersey, and then he scored. I literally
Are you still thinking about trying to come over and finesse that MIC that I did?
You know what? The thought has crossed my mind.
Of course it has.
But again, we had the conversation. Oh man, I like this player. This could be a sneaky little pickup to get this jersey. And then he scores, and all the fake fans come out of the woodwork and outbid me, which is fine. Whatever. It's for charity, so I'm not tripping. But
he got hot too early.
Yeah, right.
All right,
but
dude,
it's been like you said, it's been a value add. And honestly, if you were to tell me right here, right now, that he was your standing hero for the rest of the season, I would support that.
Well, here's my thing, is that Barabanov, I feel like LeBanc was at times, to me, maybe thrust into a position that he wasn't quite ready for.
Mm-hmm.
And he kind of was diminished in that role, whereas Barabanov has bloomed when he's been given more responsibilities.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
And he's only gotten better. Right.
That's what I just said.
No. Right. But again, you usually see, especially, dude, especially at almost 29 years old, you see guys plateau around, between 26 and 30. You usually see guys plateau. He's only the offense has gotten better, right? He's blocking more shots. He's hitting more. You know,
Dude.
like he's doing he's playing more ice time to the point.
And for a smaller guy, it's just amazing. And
no fear in that guy.
That's exactly what I was going to say. Was fearless. Love it. Like no shame in his game.
Well, and how many times have you seen him? How many times have you seen him get blown up with a big hit?
Oh, dude,
and
like
he's
never.
Right back. He's right back. No, but you see him get blown up.
The rare
and
times
right
that it
back.
happens, he's able to sidestep it. The rare times that he's like, he needs to teach Simic how to do that.
Right.
But anyway, that was like 10 minutes on my hero. Who's yours?
That's fine. It was a good dialogue to have.
All right. Just say Bear Benoff and we'll move on.
No, I think, and I think I might have done him last week, but I'm going to do it again. Kevin LeBanc, just because he's.
Well, say that, dude. Like over this week, I think he's like the only plus player.
Yeah, this week he's let's see, even, I believe, unless he was minus tonight, which he was not. He was positive. He was actually positive, +1 for the week.
Yeah.
2 points in 4 games, which is decent. And he didn't, no penalties tonight.
Well, I was gonna say he didn't LeBanc it up.
He hasn't, and he also, he hasn't taken a penalty in the last 7 games.
It's been a while. Well, let's be honest though. That's only because the Sharks haven't taken a too many men penalty.
Fair, but again, we've talked about it so much. He's finally in the right position, like the right line mates, the right side of the ice, the right amount of ice time, and he's on pace for 45 points. And again,
he's found some good snipe shots too.
Right, and again, like what he's getting paid, and how talented he is. You obviously want more than 45 points out of him, but 45 points would be his second best season in his career. So maybe he's not so bad after all, No.
I mean, like you were saying, I'm looking at the stats right now. Like over the last 4 games played, you look at the top 7 players. It's Karlsson, but -1. Timo Meier, for all that he's done, dude, Timo Meier's -6 over 4 games. Tomas Hertl -4. Couture -deuce. Barabanov -deuce. Lindblom +2.
Heyo.
Right?
But, sticking it to you.
Right? Kevin LeBanc
got that high value goal when a goalie was in the net.
But telling you, over this week, last 4 games, Kevin LeBanc, goal, assist, +1. Like, right. Dude, even strength goal, even strength points. Like, getting it fucking done. 20% shooting percentage.
Which,
dude, huge.
It scares me a little bit because, like, again, only 9 goals, and he's got.
Now, to be fair,
yes.
You know who, over the last 4 games, who the top 2 leaders are for the Sharks in shooting percentage, both with 33.3%?
Well, I'm going to assume that Barabanov is one of them.
Nope.
Really? Okay.
Lindblom and Vlasic.
Honestly,
noted snipers.
I was going to say, I'm surprised. I'm honestly surprised after Lindblom scored that goal that he didn't take his helmet off and salute you. Like,
give me the fuck you, AJ Puck.
What I heard someone say, the Hawaiian peace sign.
That's a good one. All right, so I've already forgot. So LeBanc is your hero.
Yeah.
Okay, 0 for me. Special teams this week. I mean, it literally led to so many breakdowns this week. So that's where I'm at.
For me, and
quickly, I know I'm
gonna offend. I know I'm gonna offend a lot of people with this one, but it's James Reimer.
Oh, you asshole! No, I'm kidding. Go ahead.
And here's the thing:
3 starts this week or 2? 3? No, 2.
And I said earlier that he's bad this year, and again, he's better than Kakinen, which good for him. But again, compared to last year, the last year's team, this year's team are both crappy. So why the major drop off in stats? You know what I mean? Just generally speaking, but also.
Well, the thing is, this is 0 and 0 for the week, dude. For this week, Reimer played twice, 867, 760.
Right, and but again, it almost feels like it's like the culmination of this whole season. I mean, he's playing for a contract, whether it's with the Sharks or with someone else, and he's not doing all that great. Else.
Please let it be somebody else. And I don't mean that in a bad way. I mean that in a way to get San Jose something in
draft
return.
Picks.
Cap space. All right, let's move on. Hey, this came up, and I was like, this might be fun to talk about for a minute or two. What if we all rewind the clock, if you will, back in 2020? Remember when Patrick Marleau got traded to the Pittsburgh Penguins?
Mm-hmm.
And there was a lot of talk about Joe Thornton. At one point, if I remember, I don't know, do you remember? Wasn't there some talk about on the Twitter machine that, Thornton's going to be reunited with Pavs in Dallas?
Yeah, that was my rumor. That actually had some credence to it.
Yeah, but it never ended up happening. So my whole thing, and we don't like to play this game very often, but I kind of do. What if Joe Thornton had been traded in 2020?
You know what? That 4th round pick they would have got for him maybe would have been something.
Dude, that's what I'm saying. But you think that would have been proper value? And it makes me want to rewind the clock to see, did Dallas have that available to move? And to be fair, the whole thing is I'm sitting there going, would the Sharks have to eat any salary? Wasn't he making league minimum at that point?
Yeah, he was. And here's the thing, and here's the other thing, right? That season that you're referencing, Patrick Marleau only netted the Sharks a 3rd round pick, and he was the better player that year. So you could say, oh yeah, the Sharks should have done it, and maybe, and you know what? I do agree with you that they should have, right? But it's not as if there's going to be some big, bushel basket of futures coming back that's going to shape everything.
But it was the idea of kind of acknowledging that it's time to move on already.
Sure.
You know what I mean? And so it would, and dude, Thornton looked, if you looked at some of the post-deadline media, dude seemed a little tilted. Like he wanted to be moved.
Well, and we had this conversation 3 years ago, but I remember not having a lot of sympathy for him because because he again, to your point, came off as like he wanted to be moved. Which is fine. It's perfectly fine. But again, if you want to be moved, don't spend the whole trade deadline season being like, well, we'll just see what Doug does. No, dude, go into the office and be like, hey, I would like to move on, please make it happen, or I'm going to be upset.
Well, I think he did do that. It sounded as if like there was some deal in place, whether it was a Dallas or somebody else, and for whatever reason, it kind of like fell through at the last minute. But I'd be interested to just see where things might have changed, both for Thornton and for the Sharks, had some sort of deal been made. Because after that, he ended up with the Maple Leafs, right?
Correct.
So, and, would have been interesting.
Had he gone to Dallas, assuming nothing else changed.
Dude, he'd probably still be there with Joe.
Well, no, but I mean, assuming nothing else changed, which you can't really do because butterfly effect and all that, but assume nothing changed, he would have been in the Stanley Cup final that year.
Oh, that's all I'm saying. Hey, super chat. Brycar 75 coming in hot. Love all the work you guys put into the show. Hey, thank you. Appreciate that, dude. You the man.
Brycar, who, by the way,
arbitrary amount of money right there. Oh, it's Canadian. That's why. Okay, cool. Gotcha.
Brycar, who won the Burns mug, and I still need to send you their address, by the way.
Oh, yeah. For those of you who have won, Laurel, Brycar, I know there's one other. We'll get you your stuff. Don't worry. It will eventually show up, and it will show up as advertised. We're not like fanatics here. But yeah, I was always kind of interested, like, how would things maybe have changed in that regard? I'm kind of, it's definitely something that we need. I feel like maybe me, you, Lacey, and Ian need to have a show during the summer, like the What If show.
Sure.
I think that'd be kind of fun because Lord knows everybody's looking for clickbait in the off season, right? Dude, did you see our buddy Adrian Dater?
No, what happened?
So Adrian Dater was the king of Avalanche coverage.
Yep.
Went from the Denver Post, started doing Colorado Hockey Now, and evidently dipped like a week or so ago from Hockey Now to do his own Substack thing.
Oh, okay, interesting.
But I'm just saying, you might want to go check Adrian Dater's Twitter. Dude spilled some tea. Like, he was sitting there kind of lambasting the whole Hockey Now thing, saying that we're required to do 4 articles a day. We're required to do clickbaity headlines. Like, dude, he told you how the sausage was made.
Interesting.
Yeah, I was like, ooh, Hockey Now network getting called. And I'm not saying any of that, shines on Shang. I'm just saying, he wasn't calling out anybody but the whole Hockey Network, like the people that are pulling the strings in the background. Dude had some things to say. Let me just say that. And I like Dater. I like, I'm surprised he didn't go to The Athletic, to be honest. But yeah, he was a little nuts. Oh boy. Did you see that Toronto got fined $100,000 for traveling on the 26th?
I did.
Maybe don't schedule games on the 27th if you don't want teams to travel on the 26th, eh?
Yeah, it's kind of weird.
Didn't the Sharks have to travel that morning to Vancouver?
Right. It seems kind of weird that they, would have to travel the morning of a game, right? Especially
because it's built in the CBA.
Right, and I understand that, the between the 23rd and the 26th, it's designed to give the players time off, which I appreciate that.
Absolutely. Gives us time off.
Right. But I just, to your point, from the NHL's perspective, you don't want teams traveling until the 27th. Don't put games on the 27th. Or if you are going to put games on the 27th, do close games.
I know, and I totally get what you're saying. Like, if you can figure out some sort of way where it's like, okay, LA versus Anaheim, and Arizona versus Vegas, and Calgary versus Edmonton. Like, I get that, but then it's like, okay, so I guess it's what, San Jose versus Vancouver? It's Colorado versus St. Louis because those are the closest. You know what I mean?
Here's the other thing though. Let me ask you this:
Dallas versus Nashville.
If you are Maple Leaf Sports and Entertainment, which is the company that owns the Maple Leafs, if you are MLSE and you have the craziest amount of money within your portfolio,
yeah,
do you give a shit about $100,000?
Zero fucks.
Right.
Dude, that's not getting my attention until that number gets among 7 digits. And then I might go, I'm sorry, what did you say?
Right. But again, MLSE, they have very deep pockets.
Dude, and just again, $100,000, 6 digits. But even if they had said $999.99, blah, 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 like $1 a shade away from $1 million, I'd be like, yeah, okay. But dude, $100,000?
Yeah, it's nothing. I guarantee.
Dude, they probably dropped that in tip money during the course of a season.
I guarantee you, dude. I guarantee the Maple Leafs knew what the fine was.
Oh,
and
dude.
Thought to themselves, okay, $100,000 and we can travel a day earlier. Yeah, dude, that's fine.
It's like you with the whole Reimer thing. You keep it.
Right.
Yeah. You're like, who gives a shit? Dude,
again,
they probably knew this when this fucking schedule came out.
Well, dude, it's been in the CBA for almost 10 years. They have to have known about it.
Yeah, but I mean when the schedule,
No, sure. But again, travel in the day before and it costs $1 billion company $100,000.
Yeah, it's like, fuck it. Are we all gonna do now? Here's the play, dude. Now we're going to eventually see, the assholes that leave at 12:01.
Right.
That's gonna be the play. Oh, okay. For those of you who didn't see it, Joe Pavelski, my man, signed for another year in Dallas. Dude, I love the fact that he's just doing the whole Joe Thornton year-by-year thing. Like, hey, I'm just going to keep playing here until I don't like it anymore. But some of the tweets that came out about Pavelski's signing were so on the money. Let me share a couple with you. Matthew DeFranks, and this is the one that hits the nail on the head. Joe Pavelski is what people talk about when they talk about building a culture.
Yep.
Took 2 pay cuts to stay in Dallas, smoothed the transition to Peter DeBoer, houses Wyatt Johnston, works with Ty Dellandrea, all while forming a third of the best line in hockey.
Yeah.
This is a guy that the Sharks would not offer a third year to, and now are complaining, and have been for the last couple of years, about rebuilding the culture of the Sharks locker room. I see a tweet like that, and I'm like, God damn it.
Well, and again, like we support like any player that gets their money. We support it. You do you, right? But to be a player that is very good player like Pavelski has been, and to say, you know what?
A very good player and a very team player.
Right. Well, again, because for those who have not recognized this, this year and last year in Dallas, last year was Pavelski's best season of his career. This season, he's on pace to do the exact same thing again. So he's now scoring at a pace that he never did with the Sharks, but recognizes, hey, yeah, I'm playing well, and that's great, but we got a good thing going here. Rope Hintz needs to get paid. Jason Robertson needs to get paid. Jake Onger needs to get paid. Miro Heiskanen needs to get paid. You know what? I'm gonna take what I can get, spread the rest around. I've made my money. Yeah. I'm just gonna do my thing here.
Was it McKinnon in Colorado made the same kind of exclamation? Was like, I'm willing to take a little bit less if that means that we're going to re-sign some talent and keep things copacetic.
Yeah, and I'll do you one even better, right? So you look at Gabriel Landeskog, who's Colorado's captain, by the way.
Maybe that's who I'm thinking of, to be honest.
No, you are correct thinking about Nathan McKinnon, but with Landeskog specifically, and I feel as though Landeskog is one of the best. I know the whole letter on the jersey thing is kind of bullshit. I think Landeskog is one of the best captains in the league, right? Very good player. I mean, he hasn't played this season. He's been injured, but last season he was on pace he got hurt, but last season was on pace for 100 points. Same thing 2 seasons ago, 3 seasons ago, 90 points. You get what I'm saying?
Dude.
He puts up points like a madman and said, you know what? I like Colorado. We got some other guys who need to get paid. I'll take 7.
Yeah.
If Gabriel Landeskog went to UFA back in 2021, $9.5 million.
Well, and I feel like
for sure.
I feel like Pavelski on his last Sharks deal maybe took a little bit of a haircut.
I'm trying to. It was so long ago.
You'd have to go looking through. Oh, Ruben in the house. Ruben with the donation. Thank you so much. Oh, $100,000. That's team party money. No, you're right, dude. But either way, that goes back to a point that I had made back when they wouldn't give Pavelski that extra year, is that there are guys on the Sharks that before Kane and Karlsson did take a haircut on money or term for the betterment of the team.
Sure.
So a couple other things here. This is a great tweet from Saad Youssef. It says, full list of players who have played in every single game for the Dallas Stars over the past 3 seasons. Number 1, Joe Pavelski. That's it. That's the list. I mean, the fact that this fucking guy's going to be like 39 next summer.
Well, and again, to the point that I've made multiple times, how many times does a player get better as they get older?
Dude, like nobody saw this coming, but then again, you look at where he was taken. And you go back to the interview that we did with Drew Remenda, and he told us about the talk that Todd McClellan had with him, where it was just like, you're my 13th forward. You need to be better, and then you're going to get in here. And what did, as Drew said, Pavelski could have sat there and fucking cried in the corner like he could have pulled a Nikolai Goldobin, but no. He was like, I'm going to be the first guy out here every fucking practice, and I'm going to be practicing harder than anybody else, and I'm going to be the last guy to pack it in. I mean, dude, he is the man. I like Ryan Kennedy saying, based on how he has aged, I fully expect Joe Pavelski to ring up like 90 points next season for Dallas.
Dude, he's going to do it this year. Probably.
I know, that's what I'm saying. Since joining the Stars, Pavelski leads in points, assists, plus minus, power play goals, while sharing first in even strength points and third in goals. How long has he been with Dallas? Like 4 fucking seasons?
This year is his 4th season.
This is what I'm saying. So to see this, so here's the question I'm going to ask you, and then we're going to move on. Say, for whatever reason, let me ask you this first. Does Joe Pavelski make it to the Hockey Hall of Fame? I'm not saying first ballot. I'm just saying eventually at some point, or no, he just doesn't quite get there.
Man.
I gotta say, dude, I feel like Joe Pavelski, more consistent player over his time than Patrick Marleau. And showed up more in the playoffs.
I'll tell you, if Pavelski, okay, a couple of things have to happen here. So right now, Pavelski, he's got 433 goals.
Mm-hmm.
If he can get to 500, he'll be in the Hall of Fame. Or if he can win a Stanley Cup, either one. Because I don't know, 67 goals. Kevin, I know what you're saying. That's an inside joke we have.
It's all good.
67 goals between now and the end of his career feels a bit rich, but I mean, shit, man. You know, if he can get 35 next year and, you know, get up to 35 this year, I mean, maybe. But, all right, he's 39 points away from 1,000. I think he'll hit that this year.
Okay. Yes, I would agree with you. But okay, so here's the real kick in the dick.
Okay.
You've seen what Joe has done. He clearly enjoys his time in Dallas.
Sure.
When it is all said and done, which team does Pavelski retire as?
Oh, I have no idea. I guess it depends, right?
Well, I mean, yeah, dude. I mean, if the Dallas Stars win a cup this year, how could you not?
I don't know. It's.
I mean, it depends. Here's the thing that you saw that Dan Boyle won a cup in Tampa.
Yes. And
everything went to fucking shit there. And he's like, nah, I don't give a fuck that I won a cup there. I'm retiring as a Shark. This is, they did me right and Tampa did not. And I feel like, and I've said this since day fucking one when it was announced that the Stars got Pavelski. If you go back in time, watch that interview that Joe is doing on the front of his house.
Yep.
He's got like a little deck out there, and he was doing a live hit with NHL Network. Dude, ear-to-ear grin. Like, he was like, I can't wait to get out of this fucking town. Like, he seemed to be so happy to leave San Jose behind. And I don't know if that was an FU to Doug Wilson. I don't know. Maybe this just wasn't an area for him, despite how much he ingratiated himself to the fan base. But he really looked like he was way happy to get out of the situation. Maybe it was the fact that he looked at the roadmap, or he was thinking about some of the players on the team that he wasn't fans of. I don't know, but he looked real happy to get out of here. And now you've looked. Who ages like this in the NHL?
Almost nobody.
So that's my point, is that when it's all said and done, he's obviously going to play another year. How many years did he play with San Jose?
He
9?
played
10?
No, he played more than that. Geez, I can't do math. 3, 6, 9, 12, 13.
So 13 years there, and it's going to be what, 6 with Dallas?
After he is no longer under contract, it'll be 5. This year is year 4. Next year is year 5.
God, it already feels like this year is year 5 and next year will be year 6. Okay, but again, my question still stands.
Mm-hmm.
If he, even though he will have played half the amount of time in Dallas, if all is said and done and he doesn't get a cup at either destination, how does he retire? And if he does get a cup in Dallas, does that automatically make it fait accompli that, yeah, I'm going to retire a Star?
Here's the other thing, though. Does he have to retire with the team?
Doesn't everybody?
Not necessarily.
Well, dude, I mean, Nabby, what the Sharks traded future considerations to Tampa to get him, right?
Yeah, but Nabby also retired like well after he was done playing. Like let's just say
you're not saying that Pavelski is going to be well after done playing. He's going to be 30 fucking 9.
No, but what I'm saying is, so let's just say next year Pavelski's is Pavelski's last year, right? So okay.
Based on stats, I wouldn't bet on it, but yeah,
no,
go ahead.
I wouldn't either, but let's just say for argument's sake. So next season ends and he's like, you know what? I'm done. I retire.
Okay.
Then that's it. There's no sign the 1-day contract, come back and kiss babies. No, you're just done. You know what I mean? Like
but every player has that option to sign that 1-day deal.
But again, option. Like, you know what I mean? Like, just
I don't. Explain it. I'm trying to figure it out. What are you talking about?
But why? But again, Pavelski doesn't. First of all, there are so many guys every day who retire and you don't hear anything about it because they just go away. But also,
yeah, but we don't talk about those. We talk about the San Jose Sharks here.
Right.
So we're clearly going to be talking. Whatever happens with if he fucking, just fades off into the sunset. Doesn't announce a retirement, doesn't announce a team. It just says, yeah, after next year's contract, he just says, no, I'm not signing with anybody. I'm done. And just like walks off into the sunset. Okay, fine.
I think that's the most likely route because we know about. Okay, so we know, like, we've watched Pavelski for so long. He's not the theatrics guy. You know what I mean?
No, not at all.
He'll do a post on Instagram and say, thank you to my family. My career was awesome.
He
Goodbye.
won't do a post. He will tell his social media team to do a post.
Right.
But I want to get to Ryan's point here in the chat real quick. Pavs might still feel a bit slighted by the Sharks. I completely agree with that. As I go back to the way he reacted on his front porch, it felt like he was slighted. Like, you can't fight. You can sign Kane. You can sign this dude. You can do this. After all that I've done for this team, you can't give me one more year.
Okay, but here to be the contrarian, that was almost 4 years ago. If he's still upset about it, then he's a big baby and needs to move on.
I'm not saying, dude.
Okay, no.
Think about the girl that broke your heart.
Why? I'm getting married in 2 months. Why would I think about that?
But you know what I'm saying?
I don't know that I do.
Okay. All right. Hold on.
I've had my heart broken before, and I don't think about that person.
It's not that you don't or that you think about them or that you spend any time of your day. Here, perfect example. Wait for it. There it is.
Okay.
So there are only I've been lucky in the fact that there are maybe 2 girls that really twisted me the wrong way.
Sure.
And I will tell you this. One of them, we ended up working it out down the line, and we're fine today. The other one, if they were standing in front of me in open traffic, my foot accidentally might hit the gas full bore. You know what I mean? Where it's just we had some good times, but the way that it ended, and this is, decades ago, that if the opportunity came that I could screw that person in some way, shape or form, would I go out of my, and Pavelski, it's not like he's going out of his way to do something, but it's like, if the opportunity go hey, AJ, if you did this would really help this person. I'd be like, yeah, it would. Not going to. So, for the Sharks, it could be, hey, Joe, it would really help out the San Jose franchise because a lot of fans in San Jose that love you. It would be great if you came back for, signed a 1-year deal or a 1-day deal and retired a Shark, and We did the whole pomp and circumstance, and we did the whole Pavelski night and above. It would really help things out. If I'm Joe Pavelski, I'm not saying he's like this, but based on everything that happened, if I'm Pavelski, I might be very much inclined to go, no, that's cool. I'm good. I'm going to retire as star.
Okay, but there's a difference between being uninterested in something and being a petty baby about it. And I don't want you to get it sideways.
But isn't anybody who, if it's made public that the Sharks extend that invitation and he declines it, isn't there going to be a amount of social media dumbasses who infer that Pavelski's just being a baby?
No, but of course there is.
Okay,
but what I'm saying is, like, if you're, to use your example, right? Like, I've been in a relationship before that ended really, really poorly, right? And do I wish to associate with that person and have a dialogue there? No, not really. But
you just proved my point.
No, I didn't, because I also don't want to run them over in the middle of the road either.
No. I'm not going out of my way to run them over. I'm just saying that if I happen to be driving down that particular street and they happen to be in front of my vehicle, would I go out of my way to hit the brake? We're not sure.
I'm just saying, if I ran into that person, I would say, "Hey, it's good to see you. Hope your life is good," and then just move on. You know what I mean?
Okay.
And it's the same kind of,
I probably took the euphemisms to the extreme. My point being is that I don't know that based on how everything happened at the end with Pavelski, I don't know that the Sharks gave him any motivation, desire whatsoever that when all is said and done to retire as a Shark.
Here's what I'll say. If it comes up, right? Hey, Pavs, great career. Would you like to retire as a Shark? If he says, no, I won a Stanley Cup in Dallas. I had some memorable years. I would rather retire there. Hey, whatever, man. Good for you.
Well, it comes down if he wins the cup.
But let's just say, even if he doesn't, you know what? I had a lot of memorable years in Dallas. I enjoyed it there. I would like to retire there. Hey, no problem. Good for you. I'm glad that you're happy. But if he comes out and he says, after you never gave me that third year, I don't want to go to San Jose. Okay, but you and a lot of these people in this chat are wondering if he still feels slighted by the Sharks. And what I'm saying is that if you still, like, you can not want to associate with somebody while also not letting the issue that caused strife bother you.
I get you. I get what you're saying. But I still go back to the idea of, that's a team that drafted you.
Okay.
A team that helped put you together, helped make you the player that you are. And then, there was this issue where things didn't go the way that you perhaps hoped they did, and so you ended up on another team, blah, blah, blah. And you only played with that other team for half the amount of time, and the results were the same. No cup at the end of it. This is me, just saying.
Sure.
Hypothetically, the Stars don't win the cup this year or next year. So at the end of the day, it's like, if the results are largely the same, even though you spent twice as much time with another franchise, was the captain of that franchise, I don't know. I'm just like, this is one of those things. Can we just agree on this? Let's just stick a pin on this and come back to this once Pavelski is retired, and let's see what happens.
I mean, we can do that, but I mean, you're going to be disappointed when we have that conversation, because ultimately, cup, no cup, every cup, whatever. Like, I don't care. You know what I mean?
No, you don't care. See, that's the whole thing. Sometimes with you, and I'm not trying to like call you out in front of everybody, but there is an occasional time where you because you don't care, you think nobody else cares. Whereas there might be a whole other group of people in the chat or that are listening on the listening audience are going, "Hey, jerk, I actually do kind of care about this."
Well, then why don't you talk to those people?
Because they don't have a microphone.
No, but do you know what I'm saying? Like when I say I don't care, it's like, because whatever, like I'm not going to feel, me personally, I'm not going to feel strongly one way or the other. So it's not something I feel compelled to have a dialogue on it, because it doesn't affect me. But if somebody else wanted to, then that's great,
Okay.
and I invite them to do so.
All
you know
right.
what I mean?
So when Pavs retires, whether it's one way or the other, I'll have somebody else on as a guest that night.
Well, you can have me on. I mean, you have to have the contrarian on, right?
Of course we do. Oh, dude, that ban button works real good. Or was that you?
That was me.
Oh, well then, shit. What are you gonna do?
No, it was you. I'm just kidding. Give you the glory.
Oh, fuck you.
Ooh, Barracuda.
Whoopsie, cut him right
I mean,
off.
if you want to, I'll put a comment in there if you want to ban me.
I don't
That's
give
fine.
a shit. It was okay. Watch this, like Barracuda in 90 seconds. Hey now, Cuda played 3 this week, looking to stop a 4-game streak. They are still looking to end that 4-game losing streak because now it's at 7. But goddamn, those steel jerseys look sweet. Despite outshooting Bakersfield, the Cuda lose 5-1. Bordelot with the lone goal for the Barracuda. Strauss-Mann got lit the hell up like a Roman candle. Coachella, it went completely sideways. 2 games, outscored 8-1 across both. 4-0, 4-1. Again, Bordelot, the only goal. Bordelot was the only shining spot for the Barracuda, which, of course, begs the question.
Happens a lot.
Yeah, makes you wonder. I wonder why the Sharks won't bring him up. But anyway, the Cuda will play this coming week. Jerk mentioned it earlier, facing Henderson, but also against Ontario. And then, oh, yay, Coachella yet again. Cuda now 13-18-1, or I should say 0-1, falling to 7th in the Pacific Division. It's just a shit. So I don't understand what the fuck has happened with the Barracuda. It has just gone right down the toilet. And we're gonna look at getting Ian Reed in here in the next show or two to hopefully dive into that for a few minutes because it's just gotten horrific.
Well, and you know,
It's
like you
just
mentioned, Ian, like he's
God awful.
the thing that he always points out is how brutal the defense is.
Like literally everything is brutal. The defense is brutal. The special teams are brutal. It's just like people are already calling for Johnny Mac to get the fucking hook. I mean, they're tired of the line deployments. They're tired of the matches on defense. That it's just what the hell happened to the team that started the season 4-0 and is just and you would think look, Gushkin, Eklund, Bordelot, these aren't horrible names. Strauss-Mann
having a good year.
Dude, Strauss-Mann has had good showings. McAniemi's had good showings. I think Merkley leads the defense in points. Like there is some talent on this team, but for whatever goddamn reason, they're getting shellacked again. 5-1, 4-0, 4-1. Clearly they can't score enough and they can't keep the biscuit out of their own net.
Well, I mean, to me, I look at it, right, like it seems like it all comes down to team defense, right? I mean,
What's that?
You know, right. I mean, Cicek has been up and down, but when he's been down with the Barracuda, you know, obviously offensively on the side of things, he obviously hasn't been as good as he was last year. But even and you know, Santeri Hatakka is hurt, which, as we know, he's the linchpin down there. But it just seems like as a whole, team defense is not very, you know, it's sort of optional, as you pointed out. And
I want to see what happens over the, you know, between now and the start of the Sharks next season. How does things shape up for Hatakka, a player called Hatakka, and then Knizhov? I'm dying to see how that is going to work with the Sharks because didn't he sign a 4-year deal?
Yep.
Yeah, so it makes me wonder like how all of that's going to work. Plus you still have the Merkley monkey wrench to try to finagle up in there. Sleepy Mofo asking, thoughts on Merkley getting benched? Is he done in San Jose after this year? I can't remember if it was an article or a podcast that somebody else asked that same question. I would take another flyer on Merkley. Like, am I signing him to 3 years? No. I'm going to sit there and say, look, I'm going to give you 1 more year to try to put it together.
Well, here's the thing. So
he's what, 22?
Merkley is 22.
And we all know defensemen marinate at a slower pace.
Mm-hmm. Offensive defenseman at that.
Right? So that's why I'm kind of like, maybe I give him like a two. What's his deal right now? What's he making? Like even $1 million?
No, I believe he's still on his entry level deal. So he's only.
Oh, so that changes things a little bit.
He's only, he's under
863. Yeah, 863.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I mean, what, a 2-year? Like I'll give you $1 million a year over the next 2 years, and like figure it out.
You could get away with giving him much less. I mean, his qualifying offer is not even over 900,000. You know?
Oh, then okay, so fine. It's like 950 next 2 years,
if that.
Yeah, I was just okay. Fuck 900, whatever. It's just 900 this year, 900 next year. We're gonna keep you on. And to be honest, if he hasn't broken through by now, he's probably got to be a little nervous. So maybe he says, "Hey, you know what? 900 sounds really good."
Right.
It depends on does some other team pull the Suomela for Barabanov deal, and somebody else goes, you know what? San Jose just not using him correctly. Watch this.
Well, and so here's the thing. Going back to the question of should Merkley, is Merkley done in San Jose? Should he be traded? Here's the thing. We've had discussions. We've had discussions about why Bordeleau and Eklund are not in the NHL. There's just too many bodies. They would have to unseat 4 forwards to even crack the lineup. Not likely until the trade deadline at the earliest. With Merkley, however, just because
that fucking guy.
For one, Shimmick has been hurt, Harrington has been hurt, Megna has been in and out. I mean, at least to start the season, he was in and out. If you sort of bob and weave the right way, Merkley can get into this lineup.
Sure.
It's not like Bordeleau and Eklund where they need to unseat 4 guys just to have a chance. Merkley can get into this lineup very easy.
Oh, dude, no lube required.
And the fact that he hasn't leads me to believe that maybe the powers that be aren't quite impressed with him. At least right now.
Oh, see, it leads me to believe that Greer is just kind of like, nope, fucking Chinese wall. We're going to keep the youth, the talent and the youth that we have. We're going to keep that down there. We want to change the culture up here. Blah blah blah. That's just my personal opinion. I don't know.
And that's not a bad thing though.
I mean, yeah, I think it's a valid option, if you will. And then, but the whole thing that cracks me up is Kevin Lacey's like, "Oh my God, let me on the show, dude. You have to be on Skype, and I would have just brought you on. So you have to make yourself available, Kevin." But it is, God, Jesus, I totally came into tonight thinking 90 minutes. We're over 2 hours.
Well, we had to talk about Pavelski, so.
Well, absolutely we had to. But you know how we're going to get out of this quick? No tweet of the week. No giveaway. So, coming up this week, the Sharks, it's a very light schedule. 4 straight days off before playing at Anaheim on Friday, then hosting the Bruins on Saturday. But remember, enjoy that Winter Classic tomorrow at Fenway. I'm sure at some point you're going to hear a few thousand fans chant, "Yankees suck."
That was so stupid.
Yeah, but you know what? Have you ever seen a game in Boston?
I've never been to the East Coast.
Okay, dude, then you'll know.
Right.
But remember to check out the post-game cast following both of those games with either Puck Guy, Ian, Landy, Dana, Mark, or Kevin. Who knows who's going to be on there? It is literally the Russian roulette, the craps table, if you will, of hosts. So you can follow him at hockey_jerk on Twitter. You can follow me at AJ_strong. Remember to subscribe to this YouTube channel. Leave your take in the comments section of this video below if you were not able to join us live. For those of you who made your donations, whether it was Venmo or Super Chat, we thank you so much for that. It's always awesome to keep this cast commercial free. You can find links to our social media podcast apps and more in the show notes below. And you can find everything on tealtownusa.com. If you want to join the Discord party room, that shit is next level. Hockey Jerk got your invite at hockey_jerk on the Twitter machine.
Party room.
Oh, dude. It's the party room. It's the VIP. It's the champagne room. So with that, Jerk, I will give you a couple minutes to get it out.
Couple minutes.
Oh, okay. A couple seconds. Get it out.
Couple seconds. Tomorrow is the last day of my vacation, so I'm going to go and try and soak up as much enjoyment as I can.
Soak it up.
Sharks suck, but we all knew that.
Jesus Christ. All right. I mean, 4 days off. I don't know what the hell I'm going to do with myself this week, but it's not going to be hockey related. So cheers to that. Ayuk.
Dude. So
Ayuk.
good. So good.
Dude. Bosa.
Well, and I feel
CMC. Big Cock Brock. Timo.
I don't know.
Kittle.
I was very happy to see Ayuk get in on it today, because I feel like ever since Brock has been starting, it's kind of felt like he's been looking Ayuk off a little bit.
Yeah, you're right.
I was happy to see him get in on it.
Oh, dude, but they even said, like, Kittle is his binky. That's his safety blanket, baby.
Which,
Dude,
I mean,
it would be mine.
I was gonna say, he's been very good, so that's not a bad thing.
Yeah. So if anything, next Sunday, we're going to be talking obviously about Anna. Huge. It's going to be huge. So we're going to be talking Ducks and Bruins, but hey, will we maybe, like, I don't know, chew some fat on some 49ers Cardinals? We don't know.
Might have to.
Dude, we never, honestly, you ask Jerk right now, does he have any idea about what I'm going to talk about? No. Until it's about 5 minutes before we start, he has no clue.
If that, I usually just wait for it to come out of your mouth.
Yeah, for the most part, because that's what's most fun.
Yeah.
So we thank you so much for joining us, listening, watching, hanging out with us, whatever it is. We will see you next Sunday at our regular time, 7 p.m. None of this after dark takeover crap. Next Sunday, 7 p.m. So have a fun, safe New Year. And until next time,